Hey, welcome back to Well, That's Interesting. This sounds silly and straightforward, but my God, it's not edition. Today is episode 289. Let's talk about a lake filled with 5 million jellyfish and poisonous gas, and the time researchers farted into Petri dishes. For science. My friends, if you're a long-time listener of this show, then you may have noticed the more flamboyantly outrageous the title, the events themselves prove to be more complicated and surprising than anyone could have imagined. Here's what I mean. If you recall the legendary episode of 254, when we went through the lengthy roll call of incidents where swarms of jellyfish choked the intake filters of multiple nuclear power plant cooling towers, resulting in automatic shutdowns, I have great news. Today, symbolically, we are the nuclear plants. And the number of facts and historical whiplash of these stories will be what will choke us. In the best possible way. And yes, we are once more talking about jellyfish. If you had to listen to episode 286, which came out a wee 3 weeks ago, you know there's a species of these brainless, eyeless creatures that can hunt. They can hunt. If you haven't had a listen, surprise. At least one species has been documented capturing and eating polychaetes at certain times of day in a certain season. And if you have no idea what in the holy hell I'm talking about and are wondering what is a polychaete, great. Scroll back to episode 286 and you will know more about marine worm orgies than anyone in your group chats. Feel free to randomly send them what you learn. In the first half of the show, we will be traveling to a republic that consists of over 340 islands, but despite this, I'm 99.9% certain 99.9% of us listening have never even heard of it. I myself have just learned about this place, and it will be an honor dumping its extraordinary past and recent discoveries right on you. Palau, officially called the Republic of Palau, is an archipelago located deep within the Pacific Ocean. And although it is a wee 180 square miles in total, making it the 16th smallest country in the world, I'm going to need you to hang on. One of these islands is home to the aptly called Jellyfish Lake, a massive bowl of water, if you will, that at any given time contains between 5 to 30 million jellyfish. That record-breaking population happened back in 2005. And boy howdy, if you think that's a lot to comprehend, that's just the beginning. The jellyfish are one of 3 layers inside this Neapolitan of wonderment, with one layer being so treacherous and poisonous, practically no living thing can survive down there. I will introduce you to these jellyfish. We will learn why they're the last thing you have to worry about if you decide to swim here, because yes, thrill-seeking tourists spend thousands of dollars to visit. We will learn how these jellies ended up in a lake, how they survive, and with whom. It's an incredible relationship. We will plunge ourselves into the additional layers where no relationships whatsoever happen because only death lives there. That too shall be explained. Oh, and please, pull up a chair for a history lesson on this tiny nation who only gained independence in 1994 after being ping-ponged back and forth between Western nations who believe already inhabited islands are only tokens to exchange for larger things. After the break, a question. Perhaps the most unusual question asked and answered in the 6 years of this show. Quote, it all started with an inquiry from a nurse. She wanted to know whether she was contaminating the operating theater she worked in by quietly farting in the sterile environment during operations. And I realized that I didn't know, but I was determined to find out. End quote. Dr. Karl Kruzelnicki told listeners of his science phone-in show on the Triple J radio station in Brisbane. Look, listen, there really are no asinine questions because, as we shall see, answers to such questions are remarkable. And if you're asking if we will be looking into flatulence, yes, we will. We will learn just how many human organs and bits and bobs are actually involved in the process. So yes, more than your ass is to blame. We will be exposed to the experiment. Yes, a whole ass experiment. Dr. Karl ran to answer the question from this anonymous gassy nurse. We will meet the person who volunteered to fart upon Petri dishes. And we will look upon the 2 Petri dishes used and learn if being clothed while letting one go prevents contamination at all. And you can text your friends about this too. In the meantime, hi, I'm Jill Chacha, and if this is your first time listening, welcome to the flock, my aromatic business goose. To begin, I'm going to need you to pack your sexiest snorkel and to bring along the largest tube of reef-safe sunscreen you can find, because we're about to spend an horrendous amount of time on a plane, only to be rewarded with one of the most gorgeous places we've ever face-planted into. We're heading to an island country located in the Micronesia subregion of Oceania in the Western Pacific Ocean. And for my fellow geographically challenged Americans who are like, I only understood half of those words, don't worry, I've got you. Please imagine, if you will, Australia. Thank you. Point to the middle of the northern coast and move your finger up just a smidge to the dash of an island called Papua New Guinea. Perfect. Now let's move up and to the left for more than a smidge. And here we have the 7,000 islands of the Philippines. If this is too crowded for you, well, you're in luck, because our final destination is a 2.5-hour flight east into the Pacific from here. Lost within overwhelming shades of blue are a collection of small green islands forming a comma. This is Palau, officially the Republic of Palau, and to be honest, it deserves full recognition of its name. The last time people here had full independence was when a population of courageous and perhaps arguably nutty folks from what's now the Philippines sailed ashore between the 3rd and 2nd millennia BCE, aka 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. During that time, a new language formed, and the people here called their 340 islands or so Balao, which translates simply to village. The name Palau originally comes from the Spanish Los Palos, which means, you guessed it, those 5,000 or so years of establishment were about to crumble when in 1521 a Spanish conquistador happened to spot in all of this ocean this village. For a little over a century, Balao's remoteness was a challenge to reach successfully, but as the wealth of Spain accumulated, purchasing stronger vessels and perhaps arguably nuttier folks to sail them was easier to come by. Year by year, Spain crept closer. By December 1696, European missionary Paul Klein sent a map of the area to the Jesuits' superior general with a note that I assume said something like, "Yo, I believe Jesus wants us to take over all of this. What do you say?" Well, whatever it said, the letter, the map, caused a vast interest in the new islands and a maddened rush of holy men from the Philippines, which was freshly conquered by Spain. Their lust was attempted 3 times. But attempts to travel to what they called Palaus from the Spanish Philippines in 1700, 1708, and 1709 ended in failure. But what can I say? The harder colonists fail, the harder they want to colonize. A 4th attempt was made, and it was successful, if you want to call it that. A Jesuit expedition landed in November of 1710. However, quote, the expedition ended with the stranding of 2 priests, Jacques Duberon and Joseph Cordel, on the coast of Sonserol, one of the islands, because the mothership, Santissima Trinidad, was unable to leave another island in the Philippines due to a storm. Another ship was sent from Guam in 1711 to save them, only to capsize, causing the death of 3 more Jesuit priests. The failure of these missions gave it the name Islas Encantadas, or the Enchanted Islands, end quote, from the wiki. So yes, Palos was so tantalizingly dangerous and untouchable, it gained a salivating nickname which transformed blazing desire into an inferno. Shortly thereafter, Spain was for reals successful in taking the islands, until cracks began to form in the empire over a century later. Palau, still under the name Palaus, was included in what was called the Malolos Congress in 1898, the first revolutionary congress in the Philippines, which wanted full independence from the colonists. Little Palaus had 1 appointed member to that congress. Despite this tiny but mighty step, Little Palaus was but a drop of water in the wave of war and pillage caused by the West. In 1899, Palaus was sold by the Spanish Empire to the German Empire as part of the German-Spanish Treaty of 1899, and the German accent didn't much care for the word Palaus. It became Palau. And if you think all of this is a frenzy, just wait. Please, take a breath and exhale. In 1914, the world was introduced to chemical warfare and automatic weapons in something called World War I, allowing the Japanese Empire to seize Palau. After 15 to 22 million people around the world died, powerful men finally shrugged and said, yeah, I guess that's enough, and it ended. In the mess left to sort out, the League of Nations formally placed the islands under Japanese administration as part of the South Seas Mandate, which led to, you guessed it, Japan using Palau as a base to invade the Philippines during World War II. If you think the Philippines was its own independent country at the time, don't be daft. The invasion simply overthrew the American-installed Commonwealth government set up in 1935. All of this clusterfuckery means the U.S. wasn't going to stand by and watch as what it stole was going to be stolen by someone else. And on top of that, they had nearby Palau as well. This is unacceptable. No one can have more than the United States. As such, the U.S. responded with incredible fury. A battle on the islands led to more than 2,000 Americans and 10,000 Japanese killed. In 1946, in the mess left to sort out, the United States re-established control of the Philippines and managed Palau through the Philippine capital of Manila. By the latter half of 1946, however, the Philippines was granted full independence. As for little Palau, though, not so fast. It was passed formally on to the United States by the United Nations in 1947 under what was called the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, which granted the U.S. administrative authority over them. This went on for 30 years, until with the more modern times, things began to change. The people of Palau began the uphill quest for independence in 1978. A constitution was created and the people ratified it on January 1st, 1981. Now, at that time, in the 1980s, the threat was no longer coming from the Pacific, but rather the USSR. So powerful men in the U.S. government were like, you know what, let's downsize a bit. And in exchange for giving Palau authority over itself, we only ask for the following. Sure, go ahead and be an independent nation, but the U.S. is fully responsible for your defense. And you're basically a floating military base for us when we need it. This agreement became what's called the Compact of Free Association, and it went into effect in 1994. And as is such, to today. That was a lot, wasn't it? At this point, I bet you need something calm to focus on. Well, I have just the thing. Please, drop whatever agreement you're holding right now and pick up your phone to tap on today's post. Swipe past the world map identifying Palau's location, and you'll see, in one photo, just dozens upon dozens of plump jellyfish swimming. My friends, during every moment of that chaos, I am happy to report millions of golden jellyfish were floating blissfully within a lake on one of Palau's islands. Something of a horseshoe in shape, the indigenous call the island Ma'a. And because I know I'm fucking that up, I'll call it by what it goes by on maps, Isle Malk. Well, before any human placed a toe here, 12,000 years ago, glaciers melted, leading to a surge in seawater filling Isle Malk's nooks and crannies. Over thousands more years, excess waters receded, creating one of many lakes, one aptly called Jellyfish Lake. A body of water some 1,400 feet long, reaching depths of about 100 feet. During that slow recess, it's believed a handful of seafaring spotted jellyfish called Mastigius papoa, nailed it, became trapped, and a completely different kind of story took place here. One of relationships and balance. So join me, will you, over eons, as Mastigius papoa evolved into what you see in that photo. Mastigius papoa episoni, a golden floof only found in this saltwater lake, nowhere else in the world, and that's the least interesting thing about them. Although they did inherit the stinging cells used by most jellyfish to capture tiny organisms for food and for protection, the golden jellyfish's stinging cells have shrunk so dramatically you can swim topless among their millions and survive. Just like the guy in the next photo over at our socials. Good for him. He looks like he's having the time of his life. Now, as to why these jellies are puppy dogs, you need to sit the fuck down for this. Inside their gelatinous tissue lives a life-giving friend and algae called dinoflagellates. Thanks to them, two things have happened and are happening as we speak. One, golden jellyfish evolved to never to have to catch anything. And that's because of number two. Quote, "The jellyfish and algae have a special and beneficial relationship. The jellyfish rotates and swims around the lake to ensure that the algae get enough sunlight for photosynthesis, and the algae gives the jellyfish some energy and nutrients in return. As the sun rises, jellyfish swim towards the sun in the east until they reach the shadow line formed by the surrounding rock island and trees, where they stop. The shadow line acts as a false edge to the lake, and the jellies make sure they are always in the sunlit seawater. As the sun passes overhead around noon, the jellyfish turn and again swim towards the sun heading to the west shoreline, where again they stop at the shadow. This remarkable behavior forms large masses of jellyfish swimming in one area. On sunny days in the morning, a spectacular wall of jellyfish can be seen underwater along the far shadowed edges of the lake." End quote. From coralreefpalau.org. Yeah. My equally important business goose, these jellyfish live something like plants, ever moving towards the sun. It's a migratory pattern seen only in this lake. Now, this fact and this relationship is enough to make this place legendary, but it doesn't connect this half of the show with the second half, that being gas. Where's the gas, you may be wondering, and I am so fucking glad you asked. The jellyfish are only the beginning, so please, if you will, imagine a bowl full of water that's about 100 feet deep. Perfect, thank you. Cut that bowl in half. Okay, now from the surface down to about 43 feet or 13 meters, in this layer, here is where our golden jellies can be found. No deeper. And that's because between 43 and 50 feet deep, the lake contains pink bacteria that prevents light and oxygen from reaching the bottom layer, which sits between 50 and 100 feet deep. My friends, when an animal or plants eventually meet their demise, they naturally fall to the bottom of this lake as they would in any body of water. But this isn't any body of water. Thanks to layer 2, that pink bacteria, all decomposition is sealed shut below it, creating a vault 1,400 feet long and 50 feet deep. That's layer 3. Inside layer 3, bacteria break down this organic matter, expelling poisonous hydrogen sulfide gas, which has no escape. It's a place of rotting corpses and poison, allowing nothing but these microbes to live there. Wandering into layer 3 is so damn dangerous, dark, and disorienting, scuba diving is strictly prohibited. You'll also risk breaking the boundaries of these layers with your floppy limbs, which would release toxins. So you can only use your sexiest snorkel to dive within layer 1. That's why I asked you to bring it. Now, the dramatic fluctuation of golden jelly numbers seems to be connected to El Niño and the El Niño cycles, but researchers are still collecting data on this. Overall, it seems as though the golden jellies like it on the cooler side. And if that's the case, that may be alarming, as the lake's structure is made of limestone, with hairline cracks connecting it to the ocean, which is warming. There are also 3 tunnels that lie near the surface, and the tunnels channel tidal water in and out of the lake. I don't know about you, but I believe we need to preserve this silent but deadly place full of angelic jello blobs possessed by single-cell puppet masters. Don't you think? After the break, we're leaving gas at the bottom of a lake for the gas at the bottom of your body. Back when the world was full of hope, 2001, a concerned nurse asked an innocent yet profound question. would a patient on the operating table be at risk of developing an infection as a result of her flatulence? Well, in the history of medical science, wouldn't you know it, it's never been studied. Until that fateful year. We're going in. Next. Stay tuned.
Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
And we're back. We are so back. And I ask, how many anatomical parts of your body do you think are involved in producing a fart? I'll give you a moment to chew on it. Okay, did you pick a number? Good. Well, first, in the time it took you to calculate, I have great news. You most likely, subconsciously, let one go. If you just so happen to be an average healthy adult, your body is a gas powerhouse, emitting approximately 600 to 700 milliliters daily, which is coincidentally the size of a soda can. This means, divided by hours and possible volume, you can toot well up to 20 times a day. So, how does it happen? We can thank about 11 body parts and about 1 trillion bacteria in your gut microbiome who work in tandem to make that music. Let's get into it. Everyone, please imagine your glorious mouth. Wonderful. This is where it all begins. And food doesn't even have to be involved thanks to a process called aerophagia, a fancy way of saying air eating. Every time you swallow, which we do roughly 500 to 1,000 times a day, a small air bubble, along with your saliva, travels down the esophagus, part number 2, and all that travels towards the stomach, part number 3. On many occasions, which, I must admit, most of that swallowed gas gets vented right back up as a burp, or as my partner coined the phrase, a gentleman's fart. I know, she's brilliant. Anyway, back to the stomach, which is working ever so hard at dissolving whatever you threw at it today. Between the food and any excess air eaten, the stomach may become distended, which triggers a delightful reflex that opens the lower esophageal sphincter, part number 4, to let that gas escape onward into the small intestine, number 5. As that air sits in the queue here, the stomach's hydraulic acid reacts with the bicarbonate secreted by the pancreas, part number 6, once food chunks enter the small intestine. This reaction produces carbon dioxide as a byproduct. So yes, a second chemical source of gas is created and added to your gut in addition to the air we swallow. As breakfast moves through the small intestine, additional dissolving action is taking place. Enzymes from the pancreas and the intestinal lining, part number 7, break down most carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into itty-bitty units to be absorbed into the bloodstream. But, and big but here, no pun intended, not everything is digested. Certain carbohydrates resist human enzymes entirely, like raffinose from our classic friends beans, cabbage, and broccoli. Lactose for our people friends with a lactose deficiency, we see you. And fructose, sugar alcohols, and fiber rounding out our lineup. Those gases from before, and these undigested bits conga their way to their third-to-last human destination before being released into an embarrassing situation, like an elevator or a bedroom. We've all been there. That human destination is the Grand Colon, part number 8, a ballroom of magnificent proportions, hosting trillions of well-dressed bacteria. When those undigested carbohydrates arrive, the smitten bacteria get busy asking them to dance, aka fermenting them anaerobically, or without oxygen. which, fun fact, is the same basic chemistry as fermentation in beer, sourdough, and what happens at the bottom at Jellyfish Lake. Yeah, see, I told you these two stories were connected. Hydrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, and hydrogen sulfide / other trace sulfur compounds are produced from this union. And boy howdy, the gases keep on coming and accumulating in the colon until the colon wall is stretched to its limit. As with the stomach, a reflex is triggered, and all gases are passed, again no pun intended, to the rectum, part 9. And the release is controlled by 2 anal sphincters. Finally, numbers 10 and 11. It's an honor to introduce you to your internal anal sphincter, an involuntary muscle that relaxes automatically in response to rectal distension, not to brag, and the external anal sphincter. This is a voluntary muscle, which, thank all the gods, is the one you can consciously control to help avoid those situations. But as we all know, sometimes the external anal sphincter just lets you down, and here we are, avoiding eye contact with a stranger. My friends, the journey is long, and many a body part are involving those with bacteria and, dare I say, poop. So, as natural as farts themselves, one must naturally ask, what if you're a medical professional and you're letting one go during, say, a 21-hour operation just like the one last week during episode 288? Do you accidentally contaminate the area? No thanks to the external anal sphincter? Well, thank all the gods. We have an answer, and we can thank Dr. Karl Kruszelnicki, an Australian physician who was approached by a nurse with that very concern. Being a man of science, Dr. Karl needed to investigate, and to do so, he did what any one of us people of science would do: ask a friend to fart into 2 separate petri dishes placed 2 inches from their rectum. One dish would be exposed to a clothed bottom, and the other a bare rectum. Yes, the dishes would be left isolated over 24 hours, upon which Dr. Karl would give them a proper analysis. And yes, you heard me, this really happened. So, what did happen? After colleague and honestly great friend Luke Tennant, a microbiologist in Canberra, literally stepped up to the plate for science. Drumroll, please. Quote. Oh, thank you in the back. No pun intended, again. Quote, overnight, the second petri dish sprouted visible lumps of 2 types of bacteria that are usually found only in the gut and on the skin. But the flatus, which had passed through clothing, caused no bacteria to sprout, which suggests that clothing acts as a filter. Our deduction is that the enteric zone in the second petri dish was caused by the flatus itself, and the splatter ring around that was caused by the sheer velocity of the fart, which blew skin bacteria from the cheeks and blasted it onto the dish. It seems, therefore, the flatus can cause infection if the emitter is naked, but not if he or she is clothed. But the results of the experiment should not be considered alarming, because neither type of bacterium is harmful. In fact, they're similar to the friendly bacteria found in yogurt. Our final conclusion: don't fart naked near food. End quote. From the letter, titled Hot Air, submitted by Simon Chapman of the Department of Public Health and Community Medicine, University of Sydney, to BMJ, the British Medical Journal. Yes, my wispy business goose, from that extremely detailed explanation, we finally discovered that farting bare naked next to a patient may not only be rude, but will get them a little smeared in your gut bacteria. So, keep calm and carry on clothed if you can help it. Thank you for listening, rating, subscribing, following but not too close, telling your friends about the lake filled with millions upon millions of jellyfish. They're just just blissfully going back and forth in this lake while everything crumbles around them. And then tell your friends how farts happen. Like, line by line, just text 11 times each body part that's involved. And a thunderous thanks to the folks over at Airwave Media, the podcast network to which WTI belongs. If you love this show, and you do, you'll love the other podcasts in this family. And please, stay interesting.